Hi there, welcome to Hey Sound Guy, the podcast where I will be peeking behind the curtains of the wonderful world of music. Each week I'll be speaking to engineers, musicians and industry professionals, and we'll have a little chat with them and share some fun stories from the road. Now my next guest is a brilliant singer. I know her from working with the function band called The Sessions, and we've worked together many times. She also wrote a fantastic article on resilience, what it takes to make it in the music industry, and she has a great website which I'll be linking in the description. I had a lot of fun talking to her. Please welcome Kristy Kurowski.
Thanks.
Thank you for agreeing to doing this.
No worries at all. Pleasure to have you in my home.
Yeah.
Building a studio.
Yeah, tell me about it. Maybe if we can bring that microphone down just a little bit so we can see your face. Otherwise, it's just going to cover your face. That's perfect.
Yeah?
I think, yeah. Cool. Right. So, normally this is it's a podcast for engineers and musicians and industry professionals. And since you're quite involved, I thought it'd be good to get to have a little chat with you.
Nice.
Also, I think it came after that article that you wrote, which I was very interested in. Can you, normally I start by asking if you can introduce yourself and tell us how you got into this lovely world of music.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. So, Kristy Kurowski. As we've already said, not the easiest of names. I've been singing since I was tiny. My parents say as soon as I could talk, I was pretty much singing. So I've always been in love with music. I've been surrounded by music growing up. And then probably when I was 16, 17, I realised that I wanted to sing professionally or semi-professionally. So I joined a band, my first band at 17.
Was this an originals band?
Yeah, it was. It was an originals band called Sonnet. And it was a really good introduction just to the world of music and performing live, which is very different to anything that I'd done before.
What did you do before?
So I was always into music at school, and luckily I went to a school which was really heavy on performing arts, which is nice. So lots of musically type stuff, you know. So lots of singing and dancing and dressing up and shows and that type of thing.
Right.
But I realised pretty quickly that although I loved it, I loved singing and I loved the performing side, the world of musicals was not the world for me. No. Did you do did you do any like acting and stuff in the school as well? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I loved performing arts at school. So actually, I would say acting I probably enjoyed more than the technical side of music at school, which is interesting because now I wish it was the other way around and I had more of the technical. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel the same. If I'd paid attention to different things in school, it would have been, but I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have been here.
Well,
the journey is what it is, you know. Exactly. It's going to take you where it is, so just got to enjoy the ride.
Yeah, exactly, and you never know where it's going to take you, do you?
Exactly, yeah. So you joined this band when you were 17.
Yes.
And you were performing. Were you performing? You're not from Bournemouth.
I am.
You are from Bournemouth.
I'm Bournemouth, born and bred.
Right.
Yeah. So you catch me in my natural habitat.
Right.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I've always lived here. I think because I've travelled so much with music and with my other jobs as well, I've never really felt the desire. I'm always in London. I'm always in different places around the country. So I feel like it's nice to come home, be by the sea, you know. It's lovely.
No, it's great. It's a beautiful city, Bournemouth. It's lovely.
Yeah, it is nice. I'm lucky.
Were you then performing with this band around here?
Yeah.
Pubs and stuff?
Yeah, pubs and, nothing too exciting. But I'm realising I have missed out a big chunk of my musical story because just before I joined that band, one of my friend's brothers was producing some dance music and asked me if I wanted to sing. And that was the beginning of a huge semi-career, I guess, in the world of electronic music. So that was actually, I think, where I got the passion, and that happened alongside joining a live band. So two completely different worlds. The band was quite indie, and it was happy hardcore. I don't even know if you know what that is.
Happy hardcore. No, I think you're going to have to explain that to me.
So I call this my dirty little secret, that I'm letting you into here. It's just a type of dance music, really fast BPM, really fast tempo, really uplifting and euphoric. It's kind of like trance, but faster. And so, travelled around with that a lot, produced a load of records, released a load of records, performed, did live PAs all over the country. So that was, I think it was the combination of those two things.
Fantastic.
And I continued in electronic music for a long time after that.
You say your boyfriend's a DJ as well, so do you accompany him? Do you grab the mic every now and then?
Wow, he's a bassist.
Okay.
So, and we do perform together, So
Fantastic.
he occasionally will dep in my band, which is really nice, because I think you only really understand the world of being a musician if you're a musician, because it's a very different world, isn't
Absolutely.
it? If you're in the music industry, it's a whole different ball game. So it's really nice. I think we both understand the pressures and the
Late
time.
nights
Exactly.
and,
Exactly.
Well,
that we're
that's great.
both going to be gigging on New Year's Eve, for example.
No, that makes a difference to, not having to explain why you're working on New Year's Eve and things like that.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
great. So you started singing with an electronic music producer. How old were you then?
17.
Oh, right. So this happened
same
kind of
time.
at the same time.
Same time. And it was interesting because I've always liked electronic music, but I feel like just being immersed in that world at that time was pretty intoxicating when you're 17, 18. And so from then, I knew that I was going to have... the electronic music was going to be a big part of my music career as a singer,
Do you still do any of that?
Yeah, so I joined a band called Freefall Collective probably about 10 years ago now, or just over that. And we released albums, set up a record label, and had a big career in the breaks world and the breaks scene. So that was really fun, and got to perform all over Europe and Glastonbury a few times.
Wow.
And we had some epic times. So
that's fantastic.
I managed to continue only up until maybe 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago. Then everyone's gone and had babies and got married and
grew up.
Yeah, not me. I haven't grown up.
Fuck that.
I'm still holding on to my youth.
That's right. In Never Land.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant.
So I did continue to make electronic music, and I don't know, it's a very different world performing live and performing live electronic music are two very, very different things, different disciplines entirely. So, really interesting learning curves on both sides, I think.
Yeah, I bet. I had the third episode that I did was with a friend of mine. She's a harpist.
Yes.
And she started a duo with a DJ as well.
Nice.
So they do live shows together where he's on Ableton and he records the harp in, manipulates that, and then they play off each other.
Love that.
And they were both talking about the learning curve to kind of get to grips with each other's worlds, because she's classically trained as a harpist. But now she does, I think she's it's the UK Jazz Harp. I keep saying association. It's not the association. It's a foundation. UK Jazz Harp something. She's going to kill me. But it's, they do kind of try and branch out into other genres of music rather than just a harp, which is classic and that's it. So, she does a lot of jazz, does a lot of blues.
Very cool.
Things like that. So, that was quite interesting. They did a little demonstration on the podcast where they made a tune and she was playing and he was manipulating it. So it's quite an interesting thing,
Yes.
But like you said, for a musician that's used to playing live with a band and then to have to go and do dance music, it's a different thing.
Absolutely.
So I can imagine it was quite a learning curve.
Yeah, and I think in a couple of different ways, how you perform's really different, and also how I would write, because I would always consider myself as a top-line writer. So I've always worked with other people, and they'll give me a basic track, and then I'll write on top. So that went across both of those worlds. But what I found is obviously in my band, my originals band, I could write a whole song and we'd have verses and choruses, and you can really create a story and tell that story. Whereas in the dance music world, I'd go in, I'd write the top line, which would be verses and choruses and a whole song, and then I'd hear the finished product and it's one hook.
Okay. Why didn't you just tell me that from the start?
Exactly.
Saved a whole lot of time.
But it's the learning curve, because again, I'd made that assumption that it was going to be the same type of writing, and it really wasn't. So towards the end of writing with Freefall Collective, it was very different. So I'd go in with the hook, or a couple of different hooks, and then we'd just play around with that and work out what sounds best. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
That sounds exciting.
Big learning curve, yeah.
Do you still do that, or not so much anymore?
Yeah, so not so much anymore. So now all the focus is on the live performance with bands, which is how I know you.
Exactly, yeah. Performing with the Sessions.
Yeah.
Great band, really good musicians.
Brilliant band.
I feel, blessed to work with you guys.
You feel blessed. I feel blessed to have you doing the sound.
No, you guys
it's always
are too
great. No, it's always great.
But it's a good hang. It's always fun. So
always,
I do like the live element. I've had once or twice friends and colleagues who are studio engineers mainly.
Yeah.
And when I went to do my degree, it was with the eye to go and work in a studio.
Yeah.
But I started working with the National Youth Jazz Orchestra about 6 months before I got my degree. And it was just live music ever since then.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't think I want to go work in a studio anymore, because I like the live element. There's no take two. There's no. It's now and it's going to happen. And
creates a different energy, doesn't it?
100%. Yeah. And the energy that you get from having had a great gig.
Yes.
It's just like this euphoria. It's great.
Absolutely. And I love particularly when I get to sing with bands like the Sessions, because that's a band that I dep in. So I will turn up, and sometimes I haven't met anyone in the band. I might have met one or two musicians in a band of 10 incredible musicians. And when that goes to plan, it's incredible.
Exactly.
Because you just think, how have we managed?
Look at what we can do.
Yeah. We've never met each other before, and yet you can really create this vibe. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, chemistry is a big thing as well. And I think, we got to credit Austin as well for choosing the right people.
For sure.
I think he does a really good job. So how Kristy and I know each other is with it's a function band called The Sessions, run by a guy called Austin Stansfield. It's we go out and do weddings and parties and things like that. But I mean, I've worked with function bands plenty of times, but I don't think I've worked with one where the level of musicianship is as high as it is with the Sessions. And I've never been disappointed.
Yes,
that's
good.
It's great, and it keeps the fire alive.
Yeah.
To want to keep doing it. So I'm very, very happy to be part of that team.
Yeah.
It's a really good thing. So you did the dance music thing. How long did your originals band last for then, that you played with?
A few years. Yeah, it was really fun, and it went through different iterations, different band members, and we ended up playing a load of covers because that's what people wanted to hear, sadly. But it was fun for a few years, and then at that point, that's when I think I started thinking about covers bands, function bands, because I wanted to perform more. The demand was for music that people know.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love performing. So that pushed me into that arena, really.
Well, I mean, also, the thing with function bands is it pays well.
Yeah,
you know.
Exactly.
I think people sometimes kind of look down on that. It's like, oh, that's not you're not a real musician. Yeah, actually you are, because you know, like you said before, you can come into a situation where you've never met anybody, and to make that work and still perform the songs as well as you do, and create the chemistry that's there. That, you know, that's better than people who play together all the time. You know,
it's a different type of skill, I guess, that 100%. You have to develop. And I notice, because every time I'm coming up to one of those gigs, I feel so nervous. I don't want to do it. I'm like, maybe I should just phone in sick.
Oh, no. I'm glad that you don't.
But then when I do it, I love it. But it's the trepidation of not knowing what you're walking into. But like you said earlier, that's almost part of what creates that vibe and that, I don't want to say magic, but you know what I mean.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, when you get it right and it's just right, there's nothing like it.
Yeah,
it's great. It's did you study music at any stage? No.
I am the least technical singer I think you could ever probably find. I don't know how it happens. I don't know what I do.
You must have a great ear, because you know, you're a fantastic singer.
Everything I do, everything I learn is all by ear entirely.
So you don't read music?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Well, that's fine. There's a lot of musicians great musicians that don't read music.
Yeah.
It's not a... I find, for me personally, when I was younger, playing my guitar, you know, I when I just started playing the guitar, I learned by watching all my friends play and these sorts of things, and I'm self-taught. And as I sort of got a little bit older and I started getting educated, if you will, I kind of felt like it almost held me back, because I started thinking about all the more things and, but then there's this and then there's that. And then I end up just thinking and not playing.
Yes.
So I think it could be a hindrance sometimes. It just depends on who you are. Because then, like my best friend, he's a pianist and a great guitarist as well, and reads music like it's nobody's business. But he's done it since such a young age that, you know, it's a second nature. It's like reading English, you know? So I suppose, again, it just depends on who you are and your personality, whether you need to or not.
It does. And there are a couple of times that I think, I wish I could. So, for example, the time I notice it is if I'm working with a band and something isn't quite right. I can hear that it's not right, but I can't communicate that. Exactly. And that's the only time that I think, I wish I had the knowledge to be able to articulate what I can hear, because I can spot it straight away. But then it's, how do you get that message across? So it's always quite interesting. It's like, me talking to a guitarist saying, no, it doesn't go, it goes,
just semitone up from there, please. Just play that one, not that one, one more. There we go.
That's basically what happens.
Just point that one up, go that way.
But
brilliant.
You know, in the same way, it's great in some ways as well, because I feel like I can be more creative and a bit more free. I'm not restricted at all. So there's amazing singer that I work with quite a lot, and she always says very theory-led in her singing, and she always, you know, will pick up on moments where she wouldn't have gone to that note, because from her perspective it doesn't really make sense.
Yes, right.
And yet it still works.
She's bound by the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I found as well. Like what I was trying to explain before, where the more rules I learned and the more theory I learned, the more constricted I felt.
Yes.
So I've kind of abandoned all that. Now I just do my thing.
Yeah.
It's, I still want to. I mean, I can read music, not fluently, but I mean, I can pick it out. I used to sing in choirs and stuff in high school.
Did you?
I was. Well, we didn't have a baritone section, so I was just on the bass.
Yeah, nice.
But no, we did quite well. We had a fantastic choir teacher, quite an eccentric man. I always say he's the gayest straight guy, you know, because he's like 100% straight, like married with children, and but he was very queer, you know, like he would, darling, you know, and he would talk like that. It was he's a character.
Excellent.
Great guy, but he was very good. We won when I was senior year, we won our regional championships with Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, nice.
It was good. So it's always had a bit of a special place in my heart, that song.
Do you sing that? Do you sing now?
No. I think only time I sing is when I sing my daughter to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she loves it. Every night she's like, "Are you going to sing me a song? Are you going to sing me a song?" And then I'm like, "Okay, fine, I'll sing a song."
That's lovely.
Yeah. I've kind of let it go a little bit. I'd like to get back into it, but, you know, it's just finding the time.
Exactly, yeah.
In between driving to Bournemouth for a podcast and
there you go.
all these sorts of things. But it was a nice ride down, so I'm glad that I came.
Good, and the rain had just about stopped for an hour.
I caught probably about 15 minutes of rain driving out of London. As soon as I hit the M3, there was no more rain.
Yeah.
And then I got a blow dry, which is good. But yeah. So I would like to get into that article that you wrote, because one of the things that I kind of like to focus on in this is, because I mean yourself and me, you know, we've been in the industry for a little while. We're not newbies. It's not like we're not dinosaurs either. But there is a sort of time that you have to put in and a perseverance, which was a big thing of your article, where I see a lot sort of younger musicians don't, how can I put this in a nice way? They don't have the guts and the grit to stick it out. If it doesn't work straight away, then maybe I'll go do something else.
Yeah.
And everybody I've spoken to, whether it be engineers or musicians, they've all done, you know, the shit gigs, the gigs that don't pay, the long nights, and then going to work, and then or going to school, and, you know, for years on end, to finally get to a place where they're like, okay, now I've got a bit of a reputation, or maybe I've got a name built for myself, or I've got all this experience, and now I can go and do something else.
Yes.
With confidence. So I try and, you know, hammer that nail down, that it's so important.
It is
to just stick it out. And sometimes it's going to be hard and it's going to suck. But when you look back on it, then you'll be like, I was worth it. You know. So can you talk me through that a little bit? I don't know if you even I'm sure you remember what you wrote. But
so the article was about resilience, I think is the one that you're referring to. And it's one of the topics that I'm really passionate about. And I think in the world of music, we are drawn to it because we're, you know, you might have a natural innate talent. You might think it's quite a glamorous industry and quite fun because you see that end product. You're drawn into that. And then once you're in it and it goes wrong, it's very hard to maintain that level of resilience. So I think from my perspective, I've gone through absolutely everything that you mentioned. And I think the even more interesting stuff, because when I wrote that article, someone said to me, really love it, really interesting. And I completely agree that musicians have to be resilient at the beginning of their career. It was really interesting. So I went back with the challenge saying that I think actually you need more and more resilience once you keep going. Because for example, when we played one of the bigger stages at Glastonbury, 10,000 people every night for 4 nights. And then we went to Festival and did the same in 1 year, in a few months. And then on the Monday afterwards, I was sat at my desk at my day job, working at an insurance company. People are walking past like, a nice weekend. And you kind of think...
It was fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I played Glastonbury.
Where do I begin?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then at the same time, a few months later, I got asked to play a gig at this place, which is on your mug. And
Starbucks. Right. Okay.
I got asked to play at Starbucks, and it was me and a guitarist. They wanted like an acoustic session. Lovely. Sounded really nice. Always got some good music in there. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you there were two people. Those two people were my parents in the room. This is 3 months after Glastonbury and Festival. Yeah. And then the cleaner came out and started to hoover under my feet as we were playing.
Oh, that's awesome.
If there was any time I was going to quit, it would have been then. I think the highs, the massive highs you can get from working in an industry like this are so extreme. It almost makes the lows even harder to cope with. It's like it's one extreme to the next. Whereas a lot of other industries, I feel like you kind of bob along the middle a little. Yeah. So you don't get the extreme highs, but also you don't get those extreme lows when you come crashing down to earth. And I think things like that can be very difficult to deal with. Once you've achieved a big high and you get used to it and you think, oh yeah, more of this, and then you're stuck at a crap gig somewhere with two people, you know.
Which are your parents?
Which were my parents. Those
No,
two
it's that's 100% what you said about the resilience needing the longer you go. Another reason as well is this is a peek behind the scenes of this. Everybody goes to gigs and they're like, oh, this is amazing, but they don't understand all the work that goes in behind it, all the hours that you put in practicing, all the rehearsals that you go to after work, and then having to do this and doing that and getting 2 or 3 hours sleep or whatever, and then going to the next place. And especially if you're in like an originals band, for instance, there's no money in that. No. You know, it's a labor of love.
It really
and you're
is.
Gonna go to work and then get in a van and drive 3 hours and then do a gig, get paid maybe 20 or 30 quid or beer or food, and then drive back, and then it's 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and you got to be up at 6. Yeah. And these sorts of things. And sticking it out is, that's the important bit. Yeah. Because that's where you cut your teeth.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where it kind of, where you separate I wouldn't say the men from the mice, but you separate the ones that really want it, and those that were maybe disillusioned by look how glamorous this life is going to be.
Absolutely, yeah, and particularly with the rise of social media, I think people only see the glamour. You know, we're constantly sharing how amazing this life is. I don't post anything on social media where I'm doing what you say. I'm still up at 6 o'clock in the morning when I'm working on something for the next day, for a gig or prepping. I don't post any of that, and I don't post when I fail. I don't post when I mess up on stage, when I've forgotten my lyrics, when I sing completely the wrong tune, which happened in the last session's gig. And I thought, where did that come from? But that's not the stuff I'm posting. I'm posting a picture of me looking very calm and composed, or performing, or on stage at Glastonbury, and that's not the full picture, and that's quite damaging as well, I think, because it means that people step towards the industry with a really rose-tinted view.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's it's on both sides of the table, of our industry. For me, I see that as well, where aspiring engineers, they come in like, oh, this is, we want to do this, we want to do that, and then I'll maybe get them in for work experience. Yeah. Because I'm not going to be able to pay these guys. I just get enough money for myself. Yeah. But if they want to come and learn from me, they're welcome to come whenever they want. And then at sort of like 1 a.m, they're like, oh, what time are we going to finish? I'm like, well, gig finishes at 3, and then we'll do a pack down. Maybe we'll be out of here at like 4:30. I'm like, it's like, and you do this 5 nights a week. Yeah, you do this 5 nights a week. And then I get up at 7:30 to get my daughter ready and take her to school. And this is the life.
Life continues.
Yeah. And if this is not for you, then maybe this isn't for you.
Yeah, but I think it's important to see the other side of it as well, because like you say, it takes so much grit, so much determination. If the reason for doing it isn't big or compelling enough, you're not going to stick it out.
Yeah.
You're not going to. And that's the first thing I think I mentioned in that article. What's your reason for being in the industry, you know? And how deep does that run? Because it's not easy, and it never, ever gets easy. You know,
it's always work.
Yeah, it's always really hard work. And yes, you have those amazing moments, but those are moments and they're not the whole
fleeting.
time. Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's... I'll kind of adjust a little bit. I was speaking with a guy called Brian Reeves, who heads up the AV department at the Design Museum.
Yeah.
Very interesting guy, very knowledgeable. He's also a musician. And he mentioned that if you're not happy doing what you're doing, then you're doing somebody else's job. You know, but go and find something that makes it worth it for you.
Yeah.
When, I mean, for me, there was never an option. As soon as I started sound engineering, I'm like, well, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I knew that when I was 16, and I'm
Yeah.
so fortunate to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I know how fortunate I am because there's people out there that really hate their jobs, and they got to do it because they got to pay rent.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was always determined. Even in the hard times, I'm like, well, it doesn't really matter because this is what I do.
Yeah.
And I'll stick it out. And it might get better, and it might not. And if maybe after a few years it doesn't work out, then maybe I should look at something else. But yeah, it's like you said, if the flame doesn't burn bright enough, then maybe you're doing somebody else's job.
Yeah.
You know, it's time to see whatever else there is out there for you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It's I think the just sticking with it and the determination is a very important thing.
Yeah, I think almost expecting those barriers and the mess ups and the long night, expecting that and actually accepting it as part of being in the industry, I think is really important.
100%. Yeah. There's when I was talking to I think it was James Yates, he fucking lost my train of thought now. We were talking about shit, I completely lost my train of thought. Well, what were we talking about? The determination. Yeah, never mind. We'll come back to that when I remember. So
I do that all the time.
Oh my God.
Really do.
Yes.
I've got so much going on in my mind at any one time. It's amazing that I can get a sentence out. To be honest.
I can walk in a straight line. Where was I going? What was I doing? Yeah. No, it's a good thing. And you've got a couple of other bands that you play with currently as well.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So I dep quite a lot with different groups, and I do some last minute depping as well, which are the scariest of them all, where I get the phone calls saying this Friday are you free, or tonight are you free, and you just have to get there. So quite a few kind of scratch band, never met them before, let's see what we can do type gigs, which are the scariest and yet the most exhilarating, like we said. And also I'm in an amazing function band called Groovemeister, and they are incredibly talented musicians. They're amazing. And I feel, you said earlier about working with the sessions, you feel lucky to kind of be there. That's how I feel with them. They're incredible. Really, really good. And we lose the keys player or the drummer or the bassist all the time because they're going off touring with other bands. And then when they're back, we get together and go out and have fun.
Fantastic.
Playing funk and soul, all kind of 70s, great. 80s. Like, it's so much fun.
That's
I
nice.
love it.
Are you guys Bournemouth based?
Bournemouth based, although that doesn't mean we're always in Bournemouth. So we're all over the place really, which is great.
But I mean, you guys are all from here.
All live here. Yeah, we do, which is nice. Yeah, so that's good fun. And that's my kind of main band at the moment, which is great. And then I'm depping a lot. Yeah,
that's great. Do you do any more original stuff, or have you got any plans to do original stuff?
You know about my Christmas present too. This is very exciting.
I do. Tell us about that.
So I am so excited, like childlike states of excitement, to have been given a Boss RC505
Those things
loop
are
station.
So amazing.
I'm so excited, and I feel so incredibly inspired. And I think that leads me on to something that's been quite important in my journey. Is I set up a website called The Real Human, which is where that resilience article came from. So someone approached me as a result of that website, because I think we don't teach each other, and we don't learn the kind of emotional intelligence or emotional skills like resilience that we really need to be effective and to have great healthy careers in the music industry, for example. So working in other industries, even financial services, you get trained how to manage stress, how to be resilient, how to communicate really well. And in music, I don't see a lot of that.
No, you get left to your own devices.
You do.
There you go.
Good luck. And arguably, it's even more important to be able to manage those highs and lows and be able to go into a band and communicate without creating conflict and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, to be able to carry yourself and get your point across in a way that works for everybody. Or
exactly. It's not easy.
No, it's not. I mean, one of the things that I've been sort of thinking about maybe approaching colleges or something is just from my point for sound engineering, for instance, is people management.
Yes.
Because we deal with the bands and we deal with venue staff, managers, etc. But then we also deal with the public.
Yes.
So if you don't know how to handle that, and that's never been taught in anywhere. So
exactly.
I mean, I kind of thought that would be a good idea, even if it's just one lesson, just to go in there and say, listen, you are gonna get the pianist's dad who wants that one louder.
Oh yeah.
Or the guitar player's wife who wants to hear him more, and how to be able to handle those people and to communicate your point across without.
Yes.
Because as soon as there's any kind of animosity, then the gig's not going to be good for you.
So
it's not going to be good for the musicians.
Absolutely.
And I mean, for me, my job is to support you guys.
Yeah.
So that you can do the best job that you can can do. Because if you don't know that I'm there, then you're having a good gig.
Yes.
And if the crowd don't have to think, oh, what the sound engineer is doing, then I'm doing my job right. But then everybody's going to enjoy it.
Exactly.
So that's kind of where I'm working towards always.
Yes.
Because unfortunately you get engineers who are arrogant and they think it's all about them, and it's like, actually it's not. It's not about you at all. You're in a service position. Okay, you got to make sure these guys, because the crowd didn't come and see you, they came to see these guys that are on stage, and if you make it uncomfortable for them or make them unsure about where they can push things through, then they're not going to be able to do their job.
And the crowd won't enjoy it, so everyone loses.
Exactly.
But I can tell that's where you come from, because there's, in terms of your mindset when you're at a gig, because I always get that communication with you, whereas there are many other sound engineers that I work with where you just don't get that live. You don't get it. Someone's either looking down and not looking at you, not communicating at all. I know if I'm working with you, I can always look up and get your eye contact straight away and be able to say what's going on, and we'll be able to get it fixed. That's not always the case.
No, unfortunately it's not, no. And also to be able to implement what musicians' requests as well. Sometimes you get to the limit of where a monitor can be.
Yes.
And then the musician wants more.
Yes.
And to be able to communicate that in a way and say, listen, no, don't just say no.
Yeah.
Just say, I'll try. But these are the reasons why it probably won't work.
Yeah.
And maybe
So
suggesting something else.
Yeah.
You know, so you've got you and that guy and that guy and that guy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn those guys down.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're going to be clearer.
Yes.
You know, so just these little things to
So
try
powerful.
and work together.
Yeah.
You know, because we're part of a team.
Yes.
We're not working against each other.
Yes.
That's not how this works. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's... but yeah, like you said, the whole thing about, I suppose it's also people management, especially if you're depping for a band where you don't know people.
Yeah.
You know, you got to go in there and you got to be able to communicate your will and wants and needs, and also to be able to take it on board.
Yeah.
And then also to maybe grow that thick skin when somebody is, you know, some guy's just a dick.
Yeah.
You know, where just, you know, you get that all the time where people are just...
and I love that, particularly when you're fronting the band and you have the dick in the back, and you have to make it look like it's your band that you've been working with for the last 10 years, even though you've never met them before, and you know there's animosity. So it's so interesting, just the different dynamics that you come across and how you have to manage the different dynamic between those individuals, between you and those individuals, you and the crowd, how that is perceived of you and the band. It's so interesting.
Yeah, it's these small nuances that, you know, that
really
make
important.
a really big difference.
Yeah, it really does.
To an okay gig or a great gig.
Yes.
You know, those are the things that makes the difference.
Definitely.
And a lot of people, I mean, it's kind of like a time-learned skill, isn't it? But I mean, if maybe music colleges or something can just have one lesson in people management, you know, interaction between, you know, bandmates and these and those, to be able to conflict. Get that, because they don't teach these things at all.
They don't.
And they don't give you, they give you some of the tools, like the technical tools that you need, maybe.
Which are really important.
They are very important.
But they're only, you know, a percentage of the picture.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe I should write a couple of letters.
I think you should. And I think you mentioned that they're time-earned skills, but also they are skills that you can learn. And that's what prompted me to set up this website, because I think if we can write articles and share that information before you end up unbelievably stressed and you've got those coping mechanisms in advance, for example, or before you go into that band, you understand what some of the challenges are that you might face and how to manage those challenges. It puts you in a different mental state, and you know that support is there for when you need it. Because one of my biggest things always, and I think again it's something that people don't talk about, is just my self-critical nature, perfectionism.
We all are,
and I think it's an industry that are full of people who, the reason that they're able to get up and give themselves as they do is because of a level of certain vulnerability, I guess. And that comes with challenges and a load of stuff behind the scenes. So how do you manage that? You asked me about writing music, any original music. That's always stopped me because I'm too scared. I'm too critical of myself to put myself out there. So when you think about that stuff, it's really interesting to pick away at, okay, so what is it that builds that self-esteem and that confidence?
It's just going out there and giving it a go.
For some, for some. And for others, it might take many, many years of smaller steps and practice or lessons or different things. But it's that stuff that I'm always really interested in. Yeah.
What you said before, which I thought was an important thing, is, we don't post the bad things or the bad gig that you had but I think, you know, maybe that's something that, you know, we need to look into. As like maybe a support network among musicians, or even if it's, you know, your close friends, you can just go and say, listen, let's start a WhatsApp group or something,
and just share
sharing the shit moments as well. You know, because these things are failing is also important part of life.
So important.
You know, and
these are life skills,
yeah.
not just for music industry people. They are absolutely life skills.
Yeah.
And you made me think there, you know, everyone posts their kids' first day of school pictures, and there's this like perfectly preened child stood by the front door smiling. Or did you see a couple of years ago there was a social media movement where everyone posted the real pictures of their kids like screaming and refusing to eat their breakfast and like hair everywhere.
Brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant.
That, yeah.
Because again, it challenges those perceptions, and that we all have to be perfect and present this perfect persona because we're human.
Yeah, no, I think I'm not for that at all, to, you know, present this, this is, everything's good and everything's great. It's like you said, it's the challenges and it's the failures that make us who we are. It's like, because if you've had it too easy, you know, you're not going to be resilient to push on through these things.
I also think that vulnerability that I spoke about comes from that. It comes from like the stuff you've messed up, you know, the way that you made that mistake.
But it's the things that make you work harder.
Exactly. It's things that make you work harder, and also it can make you a more talented performer, a more raw performer. At the end of the day, people, from my perspective as a performer, people don't want to go and see live music for it to sound exactly like the track, right? People go to experience the, you know, if you mess up, even better, because it makes it even more live, and you're all experiencing that together, and it's completely unique. So that like vulnerability and being able to bring all of that shit to the stage and just be in that moment and that be okay is really hard, but really powerful.
No, it is. It's very important. Like I said, I don't think I can stress this enough about how important it is to have that history of mistakes that you made and things like that. I mean, I'm terrible at that with self-criticism. Yeah. I mean, I'll lay awake at night if I fuck something up. You know, I'll think about it for days. Yeah. But every single time I did something like that, I go away, and after the self-flagellation for a week, I then don't do that anymore. Of course, or I think about a way of doing something better. Yes. And that self-reflection and the self-criticism is an important part as well.
So important.
And it just, I suppose it just comes with time, really. There's nothing really you can do about that. But
and the acceptance that it was going to happen, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You're only human. It's all right to make mistakes, and it's okay. Things are going to go wrong. Yeah. So it's how you deal with it and reflect on it. That reflective practice, I think, is really important. Yeah. And again, it's a skill that we don't learn.
Or even are aware of. Like, that could be part of the, how you deal with other people in the group, whether it be whatever the situation is, but also be aware that doesn't matter how talented you are or whatever you think you are. You're going to have shit gigs, and you're going to have great gigs, and be aware that it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world, and you're not entitled to anything just because you have the talent. That's a difficult lesson to learn, but an important one. Yeah, I think, because I know.
And I think that's the thing that breaks a lot of people. They're like, "But I've got it, but I haven't made it, or I haven't, And it's just. I think if people can be aware of that, maybe at a younger age when they enter into the industry, it'll work both ways, where the ones who really want to stick it out, they'll actually stick it out. Yes. And the ones who are like, maybe this isn't for me. Yeah. I'll go make coffee at Starbucks. Yeah.
Which is great as well, Of
course, but it's, everybody, does their part, and everybody does their bit, But
it's the awareness of it, like you say, and going in with your eyes open, which I don't feel like we'd ever get to the place where people would walk into an industry like the music industry and feel completely prepared. There's always going to be that element of rose-tinted excitement, which there should be, that comes 100%. With any creative industry.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell people all you want, like, be ready for this. It's every situation is different, so they will... be able to, you know, to experience that in different ways and different gravities of, you know, maybe you can have a really shit gig, or you thought you had a shit gig and everybody else thought it was great.
Or the amount of times that's happened. Yeah.
Like you said before, when you mess up a vocal or something like that, you just got to have that 95% confidence of carrying it through, because most of the time the punters don't know.
No, I know. I know.
I've had that a lot of times when, especially with originals bands, you know, that I've been working with, and they'll come off stage and I'm like, this is a really great, it was a fantastic gig.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you know, I made a mistake there. And it's like, yeah, I noticed because I know the music. But not one of these people knew or realized. So don't beat yourself up over it. I mean, a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah.
You know, let it go after a while, because you still, like you said, it's that unique experience. And we can't always have this polished product.
No.
You know, because then just stick on the fucking CD and there you go.
Exactly.
It's not about it being exactly perfect every time.
Yeah, absolutely not.
It's about having this one live thing where you're all together in the moment.
I think if I was, it's just led me on to thinking about that self-awareness, really, is what I would call it, and that reflective practice. That's probably one of the biggest things I think that any of us can benefit from. So in those kind of situations, to be able to say, okay, it went wrong. What happened? How do I feel about what happened? What's that bringing up in me, and what do I need to do to learn from it and move on? Those skills are so important, I think.
Yeah, but also I think most importantly is owning up when you make a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing whether what happened was your fault or somebody else's fault. Don't point a finger at somebody else if you're the one that fucked it up.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're the one that fucked it up, don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Obviously, you need to reflect back. You need to, if you want to grow, if you want to get better, you have to look back at these things. I mean, I can apply that to everything I do.
Exactly.
Like when I make the chocolate, or when I make sausages, or when I make biltong, every time it comes out, I'm like, I'm happy with this, but how can I do this different? Or like, you know, everything you want to do, if you want to better yourself and you want to advance your skills, you got to reflect back. You got to think, how did I do it this time? What didn't I like about it? What did I like about it? Because we also have to remember that we have to take away the positive as well. We can't always just focus on the negative. If you did something really well and everything went well, it's not like you'd be like, okay, that's done, see you later. You still have to reflect back on it. You still have to reflect back on it.
What do I want to continue doing? What am I particularly strong at that I need to focus on to be able to continue? It's so important.
Did I do that by mistake, or did I do that knowing it? You know what I was doing. Did I actually own that skill? Or did it just happen? And you know, being able to differentiate between the two. But I think an important thing is as well, just, you know, taking ownership of your part.
Absolutely.
And not go and point fingers, because that breeds a lot of animosity.
Absolutely.
I mean, for me, on my side of the table, we do get that a lot, where musicians are, you know, they're sensitive creatures, and they'll very easily point a finger at us.
I bet.
And sometimes you just got to take it on the chin, you know, because afterwards you can stand at the pub and tell your friends about what an asshole this guy is, right? Which we regularly do. But to in that moment just say, yep, no worries, I'll fix it.
Pick your battles, right?
Yeah.
But also understanding to what extent was I involved in that? Is it something I could have done something about or not? Is it that person or is it me? And again, it's that same skill, isn't it, that we're talking about, that honest reflection that is holding the mirror up, I call it, on yourself, and looking in it, and taking a long, hard look and saying how much of that was me and how much wasn't. And it's harder sometimes to admit that it's you, particularly as a musician. If I can't hear myself, it's so easy for me to go, well, that's your fault for not sorting the monitors out or whatever. I never have that with you, to be honest, T, but
You're too kind to me.
It's easy to do that. Of course it is, rather than me saying, okay, maybe I need to take a bit more responsibility and do something differently myself next time. So important.
Yeah, no, it is. Well, you know, this is the fun that we have, and so tell me a little bit more about your website that you've started.
So the website is really just a vehicle to share this kind of information, to normalise it a little bit, to say
the good and the bad,
or is it more
about, you know, what you need to put in?
All of the above, because I'll take a topic like stress, for example. So how to build stress management type skills will reflect on my experience, so the pros and the cons, and also then kind of different techniques you can try and stuff that you can just be conscious of and aware of to then
things
be able to use it in your world.
Stuff like that, or, you know, to...
Exactly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
So releasing articles on that regularly, and also getting other people to write an article from their perspective and share it, because it's important. It's not just my voice. I want to create something where we're doing exactly what we're doing here, having an open dialogue that's just really honest and like I say, normalises it a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's, you know, that was one of the, like I've mentioned before, the reasons for me to have started this, apart from selfish reasons for what I get out of it. But it is to kind of show that there are good and bad sides. You know, we share fun stories from the road, you know. We've had great times, but there's also been hard times. And there's been great victories, but there's also been, you know, defeats. Regardless of whether it's your fault or not. But, you know, those times suck. They really do. But to pick yourself back up and move forward, learning from it is you know, it's the most important thing. And
absolutely.
Just again, resilience. Just keep at it. Just keep hammering. Just keep doing what you're doing. And if the passion is there, if the flame is there, you're gonna want to do it. And if it's not, then go do something else.
Absolutely, which is okay as well, like we say. Absolutely fine, just being conscious of it and not expecting it to be something it isn't or won't be. And don't, you know, expect something just because you're talented. You're still going to have to work at it. You know, you know, talent only brings you that far. It does.
And I mean, I don't think that I was born with the talent to play the guitar. You know, I worked quite hard at it. And I think that kind of made the flame burn a bit brighter. You know, because I put the time in. And I think I had this friend in high school who was an exceptional person, right? Smart. He was a fucking giant, right? He's 1.97 meters tall.
Wow.
Right? He was rugby player. He was the best, you know, musician, any instrument, right? He would pick it up and he would do it. Anything and everything that he did was just, you know, on another level. But he just never wanted to do anything because he could just do it. And I was, that fueled me for a long time as well, because I was like, I was almost angry at him for, you know, throwing all these talents away. And I'm like, you know what? Everything I've done, I've had to really work for and really, really push it. But then I kind of sort of made peace with it and realized that maybe if I had that talent, I wouldn't have worked as hard and the flame wouldn't have burned as bright. You know, so I think it goes both ways.
Definitely.
But, you know, it's just... Also be aware that nothing's gonna come easy.
Yeah.
Nothing worth, or was it everything worth doing is gonna be hard.
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And my story is kind of similar to yours, to be honest, T, because
Tell us.
although I could sing when I was tiny, I was forever the backing singer or the background person in the musicals, and I was never up front. I was never the best ever. And so now it's nice, 20, however many years on, to be front and centre and to think, yeah, like I worked for this.
Just tap yourself on the shoulder.
Occasionally you do have to do that.
You have to. Like I said before, you have to take the negative and the positive.
Yeah.
And have the positive reinforce you.
Yeah.
And then evaluate the negative things.
Yeah.
In a, in not too harsh a way, but also don't go easy on yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's also, I've seen a lot of people who tend to do that.
Yes.
And just kind of like shrug off the bad things, and they end up making the same mistakes
again and again.
Because they didn't take that time and reflect, and they didn't think about what was it that I did wrong. Yeah,
and therefore they didn't make any changes. Yeah. So I think you definitely, I completely agree. You have to also focus on the good stuff, give yourself a pat on the back, and I think maybe that's why both of us are so passionate about this topic, because it was something I loved so much that even though I was in the background, even though I never got the lead role, no matter how many times I auditioned.
You were there for every practice, and they were there.
Absolutely. Every time. And, there were friends of mine that would say, particularly a long time ago, like, oh, I don't know, why'd you get so many gigs and why? And I'd say straight away, because I've put so much time in. There is no such thing as an overnight success.
No.
I hate that saying.
Yeah, that's...
When I hear it, I just
completely,
think, no.
That's one of my sort of pet hates is this X factor and these sorts of things, because it gives the wrong idea and the wrong impression. And, the people that have these overnight success things, or that win these competitions, very rarely do you ever see them.
I know.
After a year or so.
Yeah.
And, maybe they didn't exactly know what they let themselves into.
Yeah.
I've worked with an artist recently who she won, I think it was X Factor 8 years ago or 9 years ago. And it was very strange seeing her perform. You had the stage here, the crowd was here, the pianist was here, it was her MD, the rest of the band was session guys.
Yeah.
And she stood facing the piano with her hair covering her face for the entire gig, like almost turning her back to the crowd. And I'm like, well, aren't you supposed to have been doing this for a while? But I think she went away and then she came back again, and this whole disillusionment of what it is, and it's not something that, if it happens overnight, you're extremely lucky.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of very talented musicians and great bands who don't make it because the stars didn't align.
Yeah.
There's got to be so many things that has to just fall right in place.
Absolutely. And I think even with those X Factor winners or, people on The Voice or whatever it is, even then, you can't class those people as an overnight success, because the people that are rocking up know that song. They have sung that song a million times. They've grown up singing. They've been singing, in their day job in the call centre or whatever. You hear these stories, and even then it's not. There's so much work that goes into that.
There is a lot of work, and there's a lot of failure, to get to that point.
For sure.
So, it definitely it gives off the wrong impression.
Yeah.
Is what I kind of have against it, because everybody, and then a lot of people, they just turn up and they think it's going to happen. Oh, I can sing in the shower and I got a few compliments and I'm going to do it, and then they want to fucking kill themselves because they didn't get through to the finals or something.
Well, I know, and I have so much respect for the people who don't get through 1 year and come back the next or the year up. Yeah. That to me is incredible. That level of resilience, to be very in the public eye. Millions of people have watched you fail, have watched you not be good enough. If you were ever going to give up, that would have been it.
Time,
but isn't it amazing when they come back, and especially when they get through or they win? It's incredible just to see that level of resilience. That is what you need. But
that
that's
is the victory
fire.
that you want to see.
Absolutely. But that's that. What's your purpose? Why are you doing it? What is making that fire burn? What's the fuel? And if you know that and it all adds up, then that's what drives you to keep going back.
Absolutely.
It's like a well-being activity for me now, singing. I think I told you that I've recently started a degree, and my sister said to me, "Oh, you something's got to give. You can't do everything. Maybe you'll have to sing less."
Why not?
And I said, "No way. That is the one thing I won't be able to give up, because it's part of who I am. It's part of my identity. It is part of my well-being as a person. It's how I manage my mental health as well. It's so important."
It's and I was going to say before, but this just ties in nicely. It's, what is your motivation to do these things? Is it fame, or is it because this is important, it's part of who you are? I think if your reasons are right, no amount of disappointment is going to dissuade you from doing this thing.
Absolutely.
But if your reasons are wrong, then the first hurdle, you're fucking out of here, or you're in the corner somewhere needing a safe space.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's worth it for those little moments, those little gems of moments that you have where I'll be singing and I'll connect with someone and they'll be crying. And I just look out and think, oh my God, like I created this moment and I'm in this moment with that person. And it's so incredible. It's absolutely incredible to
Nothing like it.
Even singing at someone's wedding, I have these moments where, and again, some people might, like you mentioned earlier, frown on, like look down on it and say, oh, you're only a function band. To be invited to someone's most important day of their life.
That's quite special. It's
so special. And I really feel that sometimes when I'm there. I think I'm in a really privileged position to be sharing that with these
special
people.
Most special day.
Exactly.
50 times a year.
Yeah.
Whereas most people get invited to a wedding once or twice.
That's it.
And you get, you're there, you're entertaining them, and then you become part of that memory for them.
It's amazing.
So, I mean, you're living on in eternity, and they're in the greatest day.
Oh, that's a nice way of putting it, T. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you become part of their experience.
Yeah,
and that's
sharing that together.
Why we why we strive to do it to such a degree is because we're aware of the impact that it has.
Yeah.
If you've got the world's worst fucking function band at your wedding, it's kind of gonna not make you remember that day so well.
Or you would for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and I mean, we feel the gravity of that, and that's why we strive to do it. Not just another function band, because I mean, a lot of the work that we've gotten with the sessions has been word of mouth.
Yes.
Because every time you go and you do the right thing, and it's your integrity. I mean, I always say, because I'm a freelance sound engineer, right? Every gig I do is an interview for my job.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I work it like that, and I go in with that mentality. Yeah. It's like, I got to do my best today so I can come back again tomorrow.
Oh yeah. Never resting on your laurels and just assuming, well, the last gig was great, so I've got this now.
Yeah. No, because I mean, everybody can have a bad day.
Yeah.
But if it's a consistent thing, then are you good enough, or are you passionate enough, or maybe it's time to reevaluate.
Yeah.
But we go in with the sense of we want to make it as good as we can and as special as we can for them and also for us.
Yeah.
Like I said, I guess I'm kind of selfish because a lot of these things I do, it's like, my name is connected to it. And my integrity is riding on this. Yeah. I'm forever thinking people are gonna find out the truth, and they're gonna be like, "What the fuck are you actually doing here?" I feel like I'm gonna get found out as not knowing what I'm doing. So I'm always on my toes, and I'm always
Yeah.
thinking I gotta perform this time. I can never sit back.
Which is great. I mean, hearing you say that is crazy, because I know how great, whenever you're on a gig that I'm on, I'm relieved straight away. So you always do a great job. So it's interesting for me to hear you say that. But at the same time, that might be why you do a great job, because you're always pushing yourself and wanting to do better and match the last time, and never just expecting that it's going to come again.
Yeah. No,
you know,
you
that constant focus is on, which is great.
You just got to keep hammering at it and just, make sure that you do it well every time.
Yeah, that's
and if
it.
you're lucky enough to do it well consistently, then, people are going to keep calling you back.
Yeah. And if you're not, again, it's that reflective practice. Because I mentioned earlier, this is something I've lost sleep over for the last few months, singing the wrong tune in one specific part of this song, and I can't get it. I keep thinking about it.
And you don't even know how or why.
I don't know how or why, but afterwards I reflected and thought, well, did I put enough time into learning that song? And the answer was no.
Well,
so again, that reflective bit to say, okay, I learned from that, and yes, I'm kicking myself, but it's a learning that
absolutely.
If I'm unsure, just listen through, sing it a few times, and then if you're not sure, play it all day until, because I'm the same as you. My brand, I'm so protective of my brand as a singer. I want to be professional. I want people to continue wanting to work with me.
Yeah.
I want people to say, gosh, she's great at the professional side of it, not just she can sing, but that I'm there on time, I'm doing a great job, I know my lyrics, I know the structures, the arrangements, I can communicate with people. It's so important for me.
Yeah,
so
it's a whole package.
It is.
And I don't think, we've said it enough yet. It's that self-reflection and how important that is. And the word of the day, resilience.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely the most important thing that we can do, and that that we can put out there.
Yeah.
But I think we should definitely, we tend to focus on the victories, but I think it's maybe an important thing to also, have a little chat about the things that don't go right, and have the support. I mean, it's very rare that you do have the support of your colleagues.
Yeah.
But it's maybe take a step in creating that.
Yeah.
To say, maybe here's a little group where you can say, this went wrong or that went wrong, or I had a shit gig, and everybody can go, pucker up, buddy, it's all right. Next time will be better. I think if we can communicate the victories and the defeats, then it helps us to be more well-rounded, maybe, and also to realize that it's not the end of the world. You're not the first one to make that mistake.
Oh God, no. Yeah.
Even though we beat ourselves up over it.
Yes.
But it's how that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I enjoyed this.
Yes.
Really, and we should
Very
do this
fun.
again.
Let's.
And it's probably going to be in the summer, I'd imagine.
Okay, that sounds good.
Then I'll drive down to Bournemouth and
in the day.
We can go to the beach.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
You can actually see the beach.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. And see you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, T.
Bye. Well, there we have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I have. I hope that you found something that you can take away from that. I'll be linking in the description to Kristy's social media, also to mine. I have a Patreon page. If you like what you see and you want to help out, go to patreon.com/HeySoundGuy. As always, like, subscribe, share, get the word out there. Thank you very much. Next time.